Hi, honeys. It's Michelle. I'm here today to talk to you about two of my favorite subjects. One, I'm here to talk to you about books. And two, I'm here to talk to you about upcoming books that I'm excited to get and read. This is a huge part of excitement for me. Like it used to be, I can't wait for this movie to come out in the theaters. Not so much anymore, right? Now it's, when is this book coming out? That's what it's all about for me. Rare. My cat. Rare, rare, rare. My, my cat Marty is sitting here with me, so if you hear meowing, that's what it is. Or if you see a tail walk by. Huh. My cats are very interactive with with me in every aspect of my life, but they love to cuddle with me when I read. They both do. So I think they get kind of excited about books too, right? The first two books that I'm going to talk to you about are already out. And I didn't know that they were out until I started looking into what's coming out soon. So I plan on getting these soon. Hopefully, I'll get a bunch of gift cards for bookstores and stuff for Christmas. Although I don't know if I'm even really getting gifts for Christmas. I don't know. This year is so different and weird. It's really kind of hard to know what to expect, right? But I'm assuming that I won't, and I'll just get these books soon. But I'm gonna just kind of wait and see, just in case I get some gift cards or something. The Now my notes are right here, so if you see me looking down, that's why. Now, one thing about me, and you've probably noticed this if you've been watching my page for very long, I'm really not very good at shortening things. I am very long winded. I talk for a long time. And so when I read what these books are about, I tried to figure out how to shorten the synopsis, and I just am not good at that kind of stuff. I wanted to make it longer, probably knowing me. So I just wanted to let you know when I read these, some of them are longer than others, but I just didn't know what to take out because that's just how I am. I know. The first book I want to talk to you about is The Cousins by Karen M. McManus. It's out now. This book is about three cousins that barely know each other, and they've never even met their grandmother. She's rich and reclusive. She disinherited their parents before they were born. So when each receive a letter inviting them to work at her island resort for the summer, they're surprised and curious. Their parents are clear on one point: not going is not an option. This could be the opportunity to get back into grandmother's good graces. But when the cousins arrive on the island, it's immediately clear that she has different plans for them. And the longer they stay, the more they realize how mysterious and dark their family's past is. The entire Story family has secrets. Whatever pulled them apart years ago isn't over. And this summer, the cousins will learn everything. That sounds really good to me. You know what it sounds like? To me, it sounds like an old school V.C. Andrews novel, like when it was still her writing. Like I've read some of her books recently. Well, it's a ghostwriter with her name on it, and it's not her, not even her style, in my opinion, anymore. I don't know what happened, but I'm not interested in reading them anymore. I like the ones that she wrote. And the first few the ghostwriter wrote were good, but that's what this sounds like to me, like a good old school, like there's a dark secret in the family VC Andrews style book. And I'm all about that. So I'm really looking forward to reading this book, and hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on it soon. The next one is The Yellow Wife by Sadeqa Johnson, and that one's also out right now. A young female slave is sold to a married man who intends to start a family with her, even as he manages the particularly cruel estate called the Devil's Half Acre, where thousands of black people are beaten, broken, and sold. That sounds riveting. It sounds scary, but it also sounds very informative about the history of our country. The next one is The Mystery of Mrs Christie by Marie Benedict. Now that one's out on the 29th of this month. I've heard a few little rumors here and there about Agatha Christie going missing for 11 days. And it turns out that actually did happen in December of 1926. She went missing. Investigators found her empty car on the edge of a deep, gloomy pond, and the only clues were some tire tracks nearby and a fur coat left in the car. 11 days later, she reappeared just as mysteriously as she disappeared, claiming amnesia and providing no explanations for her time away. With her trademark exploration into the shadows of history, acclaimed author Marie Benedict brings us into the world of Agatha Christie, imagining why such a brilliant woman would find herself at the center of such a murky story. Well, that just sounds very fascinating to me. I'm sorry, with all this reading, I gotta get some water. You guys know mysteries are my favorite type of book. And I've only read one Agatha Christie book so far. I like the movies about her books, and I just have to read this. It sounds very, very compelling. Up next, The Broken Spine. This is a cozy mystery, and it's the first one in a series that's coming out. So that works really well. I'm kind of looking for a few new series to start, because if you saw my cozy mystery video that I did, I'll put a link down in the description box. A lot of the authors and a lot of the series that I really liked have stopped. Like, they've ended. And so I wanted to find a few new ones to start. And this one is from the Beloved Book Room Mystery Series by Dorothy St. James. And it's out on January 19th. Hi. Marty's back and he wants me to pet him. Hi, baby. Trudell Beckett finds herself in a bind when her library is turned into a state-of-the-art bookless technological center. A library with no books breaks Trudell's book-loving heart, and she decides to rescue hundreds of beloved tomes slated for the recycle center. I would do the same thing. Under the cover of darkness, Trudell sets up a secret book room in the library's basement and opens it to her loyal patrons. When the town councilman, who was a vocal supporter of the library's transformation, is crushed by an overturned shelf of DVDs, Trudell becomes the prime suspect. She was the only person in the library at the time of his murder, or so the police believe. But the visitors to Trudell's secret book room were actually all there too. If she tells the police about the backdoor patrons who were in the library at the time of the murder, she'd have to explain about this secret book room and risk losing the books. To keep herself out of jail, Trudell, with the help of a group of dedicated readers, decides to investigate. She finds herself on the same page with a killer who would love to write her final chapter. That sounds really good. I really like cozy mysteries that have to do with, just me personally, usually if it has to do with food, pets like a cat or a dog or something, or a bookstore, a library, a coffee shop, that kind of thing. That's just kind of my thing. Or I really like that year-round Christmas series that Vicki Delaney writes, but that's got the little gift shop that she runs. But I like those kinds. Just my personal thing. Now he's scratching a scratching post. Marty would have been a great library cat. The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. It's out on February 9th. Texas, 1934. Millions are out of work and a drought has broken the Great Plains. Farmers are fighting to keep their land and their livelihoods as the crops are failing. The water is drying up and dust threatens to bury them all. One of the darkest periods of the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl era, has arrived with a vengeance. In this uncertain and dangerous time, Elsa Martinelli, like so many of her neighbors, must make an agonizing choice: fight for the land she loves or go west to California in search for a better life. The Four Winds is an indelible portrait of America and the American dream as seen through the eyes of the indomitable woman whose courage and sacrifice will come to define a generation. I thought that sounded really good too, because I love The Grapes of Wrath. It's one of my favorite books of all time. But I think with what we've all been going through, it might be kind of nice to read about the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl era, because it'll remind us that we're not special. People in America and people all over the world, for that matter, have gone through traumatic times, and they've gone through epic change, and they've gone through financial woes and that kind of thing. And maybe it'll kind of give us hope and figure out how to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and start all over again. So that's what I'm hoping, is that the book will bring me a little bit of insight and hope into continuing on amongst this great change. Because in my generation, and probably yours too, this is the first huge change like this that we've ever gone through. Okay, the next book is Later by Stephen King. I'm excited about this one. It comes out on March 2nd. The son of a struggling single mother, Jamie Conklin, just wants an ordinary childhood. But Jamie is no ordinary child. Born with an unnatural ability, his mom urges him to keep secret. Jamie can see what no one else can see and learn what no one else can learn. But the cost of using this ability is higher than Jamie can imagine. As he discovers when an NYPD detective draws him into the pursuit of a killer who has threatened to strike from beyond the grave. Later is Stephen King at his finest, a terrifying and touching story of innocence lost and the trials that test our sense of right and wrong. With echoes of King's classic novel It, Later is a powerful, haunting, unforgettable exploration of what it takes to stand up to evil in the face of all it wears. I've read some really good Stephen King books in my day. I've read some not so good Stephen King books in my day. But this sounds wonderful. I really liked It. I really liked The Stand. I really liked The Shining, Thinner, Needful Things. I mean, there's a bunch of books of his that I read that I really liked. And I will admit, I haven't read a Stephen King book in years, but this one just sounds so good. I have to read it. I have to. I don't have a choice. Every Vow You Break by Peter Swanson, out March 23rd. Right before her wedding, Abigail has a drunken one-night stand on her bachelorette weekend. She puts the incident and the sexy guy who wouldn't give her his real name out of her mind, and now believes she wants to be with Bruce for the rest of her life. Then the mysterious stranger suddenly appears, and Abigail's future life and happiness are turned upside down. He insists that their passionate night was the beginning of something much, much more, something special, something real. And he's tracked her down to prove it. Does she tell Bruce and ruin their idyllic honeymoon and possibly their marriage? Or should she handle this psychopathic stalker on her own? To make the situation worse, strange things began to happen. She sees a terrified woman in the night shadows, and no one at the resort seems to believe anything is amiss, including her perfect new husband. I don't know, it just sounds really good. So, I want to read it. The Memory Collectors by Kim Neville, out March 16th. Ev has a mysterious ability, one that she feels is more a curse than a gift. She can feel the emotions people leave behind on objects and believes that most of them need to be handled extremely carefully and, if at all possible, destroyed. The harmless ones she sells at Vancouver's Chinatown night market to scrape together a living, but even that fills her with trepidation. Meanwhile, in another part of town, Harriet hoards thousands of these treasures and is starting to make her neighbors sick as the overabundance of heightened emotions starts seeping through her apartment walls. When the two women meet, Harriet knows that Ev is the only person who can help her make, something truly spectacular of her collection. A museum of memory that not only feels warm and inviting, but can heal the emotional wounds people unknowingly carry around. They only know of the other person like them, and they fear the dark effects these objects had on him. Together, they help each other to develop and control their gift, so that what happened to him never happens again. But unbeknownst to them, the same darkness is wrapping itself around another, dragging them down a path that already destroyed Ev's family once and threatens to annihilate what she has left. The Memory Collectors casts the everyday in a new light, speaking volumes to the hold that our past has over us. Contained at times in seemingly innocuous objects and uncovering a truth that both women have tried hard to bury with their pasts. Not all magpies collect shiny things. Sometimes they gather darkness. The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. That comes out on March 23rd. The Blair Witch Project meets Midsummer in this brilliantly disturbing thriller. Okay, I have to tell you something, just a little side note here. I went and saw the Blair Witch Project on opening night. And this was before everybody had cell phones. It was before we had computers, but it wasn't like it is now. Websites weren't like they are now. You didn't really get news from the internet. And reality TV had really kind of just begun. I had never seen a movie that was filmed with a camcorder. Certainly never one with actors or anything like that. So when I watched that movie, myself and, well, the entire audience all thought it was real and that this had been released. We were all screaming and jumping, and I thought it was one of the scariest movies I ever saw. I could barely sleep for a couple days afterwards. That's how bad it scared me. And then maybe a week after it came out, I found out the whole thing was fake. I felt very betrayed. And anyway, so that movie really scared me because I thought it was real. But that's what this book is about, is a documentary filmmaker that has been obsessed with the vanishing residents of the old mining town dubbed the Lost Village. It says in 1959, her grandmother's entire family disappeared into this mysterious tragedy. And ever since, the unanswered questions surrounding only two people who were left, a woman stoned to death in the town center and an abandoned newborn, have plagued her. She's gathered a small crew of friends in the remote village to make a film about what really happened. But not long after they've set up camp, mysterious things begin to happen. Equipment is destroyed, people go missing, so on and so forth. And they find out that they're not alone. So they're looking for the truth. But what if the truth finds them first? So to me, it also kind of sounds like Silent Hill or something, which I'm all about that. I love Silent Hill. It's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. The Last Night in London by Karen White. That comes out on April 20th. It's a story of friendship, past and present, love and betrayal that moves between war-torn London during the Blitz and the present day. A woman travels to London to interview her deceased mother's friend to learn about who her mother really was. And apparently it gets real crazy from there. So that sounds really good. And I do really like Karen White. I have, oh, it's over here. I have 4 of her books here and probably 5 or 6 more in storage. I really like her books. So I figured, why not? Why would I not read her next book, right? The Diva Serves Forbidden Fruit by Krista Davis, out May 25th. I'm really excited about this one. This is a domestic diva mystery, which is a cozy mystery. The domestic diva mystery series is what got me into cozy mysteries to begin with. And so it's very close to my heart, and I can't wait to read the book. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just get it and read it. Most of her books, I've got a bunch of them right here. The rest are in storage. But these books here are all paperback, and then I have one hardback here. But I think I'm just going to have to break down and get the last one and this one coming out in May in hardback and just read them, because I don't want to wait. I'm a Gemini. I don't have any patience. Okay, so there is no description of what this book is about. I don't really care because it's part of my favorite cozy mystery series. Arsenic and Adobo. This is another cozy mystery. It's the first in a new series called Tita Rosie's Kitchen Mysteries by Mia P. Manansala, out May 4th. When Lila Macapagal moves back home to recover from a horrible breakup, her life seems to be following all the typical rom-com tropes. She's tasked with saving her Tita Rosie's failing restaurant and has to deal with a group of matchmaking aunties who shower her with love and judgment. But when a notoriously nasty food critic, who happens to be her ex-boyfriend, drops dead moments after a confrontation with Lila, she suddenly has the cops treating her like she's the one and only suspect, and the shady landlord, looking to finally kick the Macapagal family out and resell the storefront, Lila is left with no choice but to conduct her own investigation. I think it sounds fun with her having the aunts, an ex-boyfriend who's murdered, and then taking over her grandma's restaurant, which, like I said, I like to read books that have to do with food. I love books that have to do with food. You know, I love to eat. I love to read about food, think about food, eat it. We're getting close to the end. There's only 2 books left. The next one I am super excited about. Survive the Night by Riley Sager, out July 6th. It's November 1991. George H.W. Bush is in the White House. Nirvana is in the tape deck. And movie-obsessed college student Charlie Jordan is in a car with a man who might be a serial killer. Josh Baxter, the man behind the wheel, is a virtual stranger to Charlie. They met at the campus ride board, each looking to share the long drive home to Ohio. Both have good reasons for wanting to get away. For Charlie, it's guilt and grief over the murder of her best friend, who became the 3rd victim of the man known as the campus killer. For Josh, it's to help care for his sick father, or so he says. Like the Hitchcock heroine she's named after, Charlie has her doubts. There's something suspicious about Josh, from the holes in his story about his father to how he doesn't seem to want Charlie to see inside the car's trunk. As they travel an empty highway in the dead of night, an increasingly worried Charlie begins to think she's sharing a car with the campus killer. Is Josh truly dangerous? Or is Charlie's suspicion merely a figment of her movie-fueled imagination? What follows is a game of cat and mouse played out on night-shrouded roads and in neon-lit parking lots during an age when the only call for help can be made by a payphone and in a place where there's nowhere to run. In order to win, Charlie must do one thing: survive the night. Doesn't that sound good? I think it sounds really good. And I like Riley Sager. So I'm excited about that one. And the next book is also written by an author whose books I have read and seriously enjoyed. I don't know if I want to say loved, but I enjoy her writing. It's The Therapist by B.A. Paris, out July 4th. When Alice and Leo move into a newly renovated house in the Circle, a gated community of exclusive houses, it is everything they've dreamed of. But appearances can be deceptive. As Alice is getting to know her neighbors, she discovers a devastating secret about her new home and begins to feel a strong connection with Nina, the therapist who lived there before. Alice becomes obsessed with trying to piece together what happened 2 years before, but no one wants to talk about it. Her neighbors are keeping secrets, and things are not as perfect as they seem. Sign me up. I will read that book too. So that's it. That's all the books that I am anticipating for 2021. Let me know if you're interested in reading any of the books that I mentioned, or you can do both. Let me know what books you're looking forward to next year. There might be some that I'm not aware of that are coming out. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. I will be back next Sunday with another book video. Next Sunday, I will be going to a bookstore that is closing down in this area, getting some books, and I will be doing a book haul also. So I'll take you with me on my way to the bookstore. I will film as I'm walking towards it, and then I will do a haul. So I hope that you can join me for that as well. And if not, you have a Merry Christmas, or a Happy Hanukkah, or a Merry Yule, or whatever you celebrate. I hope that you enjoy it. I love you. Bye.